Miami had an absolutely loaded offensive attack in 2024, but unfortunately their defense was incredibly inconsistent and ultimately cost them a chance to make the college football playoff. With that being said, they still had some really talented players along the defensive side of the football, and one of those guys is edge rusher Tylerbaron. Barron started his career with my Tennessee Volunteers, but ended up transferring to Miami in 2024 and has had a really productive college career. In an edge class that is absolutely stacked top to bottom in terms of edge talent, how high could Barron hear his name called in the 2024 draft class? That's what we will be discussing in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide and big board, with over 500 scouting reports and all of the updated combine and pro day numbers, as well as advanced stats for every player on the board. It is some of the best work I have ever done, and it's a really easy way to support the channel, and that will be linked down in the description below. Leave a comment and let me know which prospects you guys would like to see in a future video, and without further ado, let's get into it. Barron stayed in Knoxville and started his collegiate career at the University of Tennessee, and he put up some really solid season for the Volunteers. In 2023, Barron had 41 pressures with 6 sacks, 20 tackles, and 23 run stops on the season. He decided to forego the NFL draft and decided to transfer to Miami and was a part of their absolutely loaded portal class. He had a really good season for the Canes, posting 48 pressures, 10 sacks, 22 tackles, 25 run stops, and 1 forced fumble on the season. I think he's starting to fly under the radar in this edge group. The first thing that really stands out when you're watching Barron is he has the prototypical size you look for in an edge defender. He's 6'5", 258 pounds, and has a wingspan over 80 inches. He looks like he absolutely towered over defenders at times, and I think his size and wingspan, he shows the versatility to play in both an odd or an even front at the NFL level. Barron also showed the upside to be a contributor in both the passing game and in the run game. He shows really solid bend around the edge, and with his length, he shows the ability to set a proper edge and make some splash run stops. I also really think he plays well as a pass rusher. He has really active hands out of his stance, and he shows a good cross chop and some rip through moves that are really enticing. I also think he shows some nice power as a rusher at times as well. I think he shows the tools to be a nice 3-down player at the next level. But I think one of the most confusing parts about Barron in his game is his athleticism. He ran a 4.61 40-yard dash at the combine, which was one of the top times amongst edge defenders, and he had a 1.6 10-yard split. He also had pretty average broad and vertical jumps for the position, and that's kind of where the confusion steps in. He's got good speed into the backfield, but I wouldn't say Barron is very quick, nor would I say he's very explosive off the line of scrimmage. I think because of that, he may profile best as a stand-up rusher in the NFL, but I think his athleticism is going to be a major talking point surrounding him entering the NFL draft, because it's very up and down what player you're getting snap to snap. Barron as a pass rusher has a lot of pass rush moves that he can break out. We mentioned the rip through moves and the cross chops. However, he's very inconsistent when utilizing them. He never seems to know when to try to win with speed and when to try to win with power, and he also plays with very inconsistent pads. Oftentimes, Barron is playing pretty vertical and is unable to generate a lot of power from his lower body. And because he's not the most explosive, nor is he the fastest edge in the world, he's not going to win with speed all the time. He really struggles with counter moves. He's got to get better at rushing with a plan and showing more consistency as a pass rusher, because he shows some really high upside moments, but I think there are a lot of things he needs to clean up. On top of that, Barron will also be 24 as a rookie, and he's an older prospect on the defensive line. there's a good chance he starts to slip down draft boards because his overall ceiling could be viewed as limited. Tylerbaron is a very interesting player that I've gotten to watch up close as a Tennessee fan, and I love his size. I think he's a really solid run defender. He's an above average athlete. However, I do really worry about the lack of serious explosiveness and the lack of a pass rush plan. I think it makes him a very difficult player to project at the next level. I still believe he could play a really nice role as a rotational lineman at the next level, but right now I have Barron as my number 23 edge rusher in the draft class and my number 147 overall prospect. In terms of a scheme fit, we touched on it earlier in the video, but I like Barron in a 3-4 defense as a stand-up outside linebacker. I think that's where you're going to be able to maximize his potential as a pass rusher and where he will be best suited to make splash plays in the run game as well. Given the inconsistent pads and the inconsistent explosiveness, I think this is where Barron would be at his best at the NFL level. My player comparison for Tylerbaron is Leonard Floyd. Floyd, I think, has better range as an athlete. However, both of them had very similar testing numbers across the board. Floyd is a solid run defender, and he brings some really solid juice as a pass rusher. He has struggled to be a consistent pass rusher, and his win rate has always been around 10 to 14%. I think Barron is going to be a very similar player in his career. I think at his best he will be a good number 2 or number 3 rusher in the league, but I don't ever see him being a number 1 guy. I do see a lot of those similarities with Leonard Floyd. Tylerbaron can set the edge. He has great bend, great length, and he certainly can get after the quarterback. There are areas that I would like to see him improve upon, but I do think he's a really solid player, and ultimately, I believe that Tylerbaron will be a 4th round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.